This podcast is part of the BombPod Media Network.
Welcome back to the Ohio Podcast Show.
We are back.
We're going to try to do a good show today for you guys.
We're going to do our best.
And to help us with that episode is Mr. Bill Wilkins.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Wilkins, for joining us once again. How have you been? How was your Thanksgiving?
I fucking hate Thanksgiving. I've got a shithead brother, and he died in his chair just like me.
Oh, okay.
When he was 73 years old, and my sister stuck a drumstick in his arse. I don't know why we say arse.
This episode, we're going to talk about the Men in Black.
Yes, Men in Black.
Not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
No.
Although
Loosely based.
Phenomenal movies.
Yeah.
Some people said the third one was trash. I personally loved it.
I don't know if I saw the third one.
I think it's the one...
I remember the first one.
Well, fucking duh. I think the third one is where he meets the very early version of Tommy Lee Jones.
Ah, okay.
Do you remember that one?
I remember that happening.
Save him, yeah.
Yeah.
We had to cut for a second there because I clicked on a link earlier when we first got here.
Yeah.
And there was some shit playing in the background. We had no idea where it was coming from.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It scared the shit out of us for a second because we're talking about Men in Black.
Yeah. We thought Big Brother was tapping into us.
They're here to speak to us.
Yeah. I could have swore I saw a shadow outside your window and everything.
I would like to speak to you about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. May I come in?
I think that's what the Men in Black probably sound like.
Could be.
And to touch on our prior episode of fucking Skinwalker Ranch in Utah.
Holy shit.
So we have a sister podcast called the Color Me Dead podcast. They cover fucking the most god-awful murdering bloody catastrophes.
True Crizzle.
In the history of the world. And they're people just like us without penises. And they're just as bad as us. They curse. They make bad jokes.
They live in the heartlands.
Off color. But they live in Utah. And we have a lot of mutual listeners, and these people...
They gave us so much shit.
They put us on the stake.
Yeah.
They said, listen, if you don't fucking get your shit together doing these podcasts, we're going to report you to the FCC.
Yeah.
We're going to take you down to Pound Town, and we're going to fuck you because you're wrong.
We got one strike, two more, and they're going to delete our podcast from existence.
They're going to get inside Steve Jobs' computer, and they're going to hit delete on Ohio Podcast.
It's been nice knowing you.
We did call. I don't even remember what we said, but it was.
I don't know.
It was maybe we said Uintah Basin.
I don't fucking know.
But the actual correct pronunciation is Uintah Basin, and I also referred to a Navajo reservation there in Utah, and they're just called Utes. There's no Navajo reservation. Okay. Although I did do a quick Google of the Navajo territories, and it does barely stretch into Utah, but not anywhere close to the Uintah Basin.
Okay.
Uintah. So, Color Me Dead, folks. Sorry. We love you guys. We love that you listen to us, and we're here to make this right.
We do something wrong, we're gonna correct it.
And
I felt bad all week.
I couldn't perform this week.
I was a weeping mess during Thanksgiving because of it. I let everybody down.
Couldn't get an erection. Do you know how hard it is?
That explains a lot.
When you've woken up every single day of your life since you were 13 and urinated with morning wood, and then you have to get up and not do it because you can't perform. Do you know what that's like?
You're trying to counterbalance just a normal piss, and
I go in there and I lay flat down on the toilet. Like I plank.
You plank across it.
I plank wiener down on the toilet, and that's how I urinate in the mornings.
Just make sweet love to the toilet bowl.
And the dog stands there, and I brace myself on his. I put my hand on his back, and he holds me up because I'm too big to do it. That's how it goes down at 2:00 in the morning when my alarm goes off. how I pee.
Like, Ace, come here.
I drink my coffee in that position as well.
Just let her rip.
Yeah. And speaking of bathrooms and shits.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first, I would like for you folks to reach out and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, if you don't mind, because they help us. They're wonderful. We got a 3-star review today.
We did, which is better, or I guess better than a 1.
I can respect that. They said we're just two guys shooting the breeze, which we are. I don't like guns. They fucking kill people. But we're shooting the breeze.
Very true.
We would like for you to give us a 5-star review, if you would be so inclined.
But we don't give any actual facts.
Yes. And then...
Very true.
I mean, we try. The only true place to get facts from anywhere is the King James version of the Holy Bible. You know that, right?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
That's all true shit. Jesus ate fish. He got drunk on wine. He did it all. He was fighting. He was fucking. He was doing it all. That's my Jesus. That is my Jesus.
Fighting and fucking.
On to our article.
Yeah.
This is from Newser. What a fucking lazy, stupid fucking name for a news outlet. Newser.
I want to make a news outlet or news website. I don't know what to name it.
It's like your friend that...
Hey, name it Newser.
Yeah, your friend that knows everything, shows up at the party.
Ricky?
What's up? What's up? It's Newser. This might be the worst date in Tinder history, or the worst date in history, period. 2 Brits were on a first date when the woman reportedly went to use her date's bathroom. And if you're meeting someone for the first time on Tinder and you're already inside their apartment, you are halfway to having your asshole pushed in and fucking killed.
Pretty much.
Keep that in mind. That was not in the article. That is advice from the always delicious Nicolicious. Keep that in mind, okay? 2 Brits were on a first date when the woman reportedly went to use her date's bathroom, only to soon find herself in the most terrifying situation. Her poo wouldn't flush.
Oh, man.
So she allegedly went with Plan B. She aborted a bait. Oh, no, it's a different kind of Plan B. Jesus.
Whoa. You really went there.
She allegedly went with Plan B, removing the poop, wrapping it in a toilet paper, tossing it out the window, and perhaps less explicitly telling date Liam Smith what she just did.
I just mummified my turd and threw it out the window.
I was upstairs taking a shit, and I picked it up in my hands, and I tried to throw it out your fucking window, and I think I hit your neighbor in the face with my fucking shit.
Don't hate me, please.
As Smith explains in a GoFundMe campaign, imagine that, someone trying to make money.
Who knew? Would have known.
I was understandably concerned, but suggested they go outside, retrieve it, and put it in the trash, and pretend the whole sorry affair had never happened. But the plan was thwarted by a design quirk in which the bathroom window was made up of 2 non-opening windows, and the feces was stuck in there. And soon, so was she. God damn it. Smith's date decided to climb in head first from the top of the window and reach to the bottom to retrieve the poo, which amazingly, she reportedly did. That bitch got heart, man.
I just would have left it.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you got a bit of poo in your window. I can't get it.
When you get in there to go take a shit, I had a girlfriend. She'd go, there's some white shit in there. Just don't mind that, all right?
Do you have a wire hanger? I got to get my poo.
But then she found herself stuck and ultimately had to be rescued by firefighters who broke the window in the process. Smith took to GoFundMe in a quest to raise some of the funds needed for what says is about a $400 replacement cost.
Jeez.
God damn. He has nearly raised $2,500 and says the excess will be split between a charity that brings toilets to the developing world and a firefighters charity.
How do you find that charity?
God damn it. For the skeptical, Avon Fire and Rescue Service did confirm to the BBC that it rescued a woman trapped between 2 windows, with the Telegraph confirming the call was made regarding Smith's address at 10:41 p.m. on August 7th. Smith posted photos documenting the ordeal on what Gizmodo has christened the world's best GoFundMe.
That's pretty sweet.
I was in there taking a little stinky, and I shit a real big one. You know, not one of those little shits, but like one of those shits where you stand up and the head of it's laying on the seat and you got to grab the plunger and break it up. And you got to...
Been there before.
You got to beat it down the hole. Yeah, sometimes you just scoop it out and throw it in the bathtub and you waffle stomp it down the drain. Make it go away. But I'm not a witch. I don't do witchcraft, so it's hard to slay these type beasts on my own. I'm just a little English woman.
One of my buddies had a friend who often waffle stomped while in the shower.
My God,
like
why is that a thing?
It was a common thing for him.
No, I had a friend that told us, a gentleman I used to work with, he had a similar story where he met this girl in high school for the first, well, he met her family for the first time. He was having dinner at their house with the family, and he said, "Excuse me, I have to go upstairs and use the bathroom." And he said he'd eaten like 15 White Castle burgers that day.
Oh, dude, that'll kill you.
He went upstairs and he had to poop. And he pooped and the fucking toilet wouldn't flush.
Oh, gosh.
So he opened up the window and he like hand scooped the poop and he threw it out the window. You know, good to go. So he cleans up. I would imagine basically taking a bath at that point, and he goes back downstairs to the table where everyone's sitting waiting to eat dinner. And they all look mortified. And his girlfriend's got her face in her hands. And he's like, "What? Like, what's the problem? What's wrong, guys?" He said, "I felt like they watched me in the bathroom take a shit and do this." And about that time, the dad looked straight up in the air, and there was a skylight above the fucking kitchen, or above the dining room table. And when he threw the poop out the window, it landed right in the middle of the skylight.
Oh my gosh!
Like a big bubble window, just a big. Oh, I feel so much better. Is that not the worst thing ever?
That's the worst.
Listen, I know I shit on your roof, but I really want to go to prom with you.
I promise I'll get up there and clean it off.
Will it make you say yes if I promise to get the shit off the window?
I wouldn't even hold it against the dude at that point. Like, I would just be like, "Man, just clean it up." That's fucking hilarious, though.
I would ask to borrow the belt from the dad's waist and just fucking kill myself right there. What? There's no recovery from that.
Oh, that's so good.
And speaking of poop and that stuff, we've met some new friends this week. We met some friends from over the pond. Amy Marie Baldwin and her friend Natalie fight. And I think they would like to fight one another. So, Natalie, quit being a chicken shit and fight Amy. This is an inside joke between them. Hopefully it makes them laugh.
Yeah, right. This sounds like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, they're going to fight. They are going to fight.
Okay.
They're going to fight and fuck, just like the other stuff we were reading earlier.
I got my money on Amy.
Yeah. Alex Covell wrote to us.
Or Koval.
Asking us to investigate Walmart portals.
I've read about that.
That is right up our fucking alley.
It is.
Luke Dentler, he sent us a story about Detroit cops this week. It was a drug raid where an undercover Detroit cop was buying drugs at a drug house. Mm-hmm. The drug house was being operated by undercover Detroit cops.
Okay.
They were from different beats, and they fucking pulled guns on each other and almost killed one another.
Oh.
That's definitely some Detroit shit.
Only in Detroit.
Let's just sit down, have a glass of water from Flint, and we're going to make this shit all better. We're going to shit some blood out. Blood in, blood out. That's how we do that.
Yeah.
And Justin Patorf, he wrote us and said, "Podcast is like cocaine. I need more."
Yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
And I'm like, "Well, I just got done snorting all the fucking cocaine, so there is nothing left for you to have."
As a lover of cocaine, thank you for the compliment.
And then our buddy Stephanie Davis on Instagram, and then as always, the people that have followed us since the very beginning, Ajaz Janae. She's on our Facebook and our Instagram.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Janet is awesome. I want to go play with her dog and hang out with her. And we got Miss Captain America, Adrian Gonzalez, all people that have been there since the very beginning.
Thank you, guys.
The infancy.
We appreciate the fuck out of you.
Yeah, we love talking to you guys. And like we said, Thanksgiving is over. It is you may not know this, I am a part-time scientist.
Okay, no, I didn't know that.
Everything you eat for Thanksgiving, you take the most god-awful dump the next day.
Right.
There's someone down below, probably someone making minimum wage, they catch that poo, and they bag it and they sell it as fruitcake for the Christmas season. And that's where fruitcake comes from.
I wondered how that happened.
You know, have you ever tried fruitcake?
I haven't, but that explains a lot.
It's like a fucking elf taking a shit in your mouth. It is the worst. There's a little bit of goodness to it, like you would expect if an elf shit in your mouth. You're just sitting there bracing yourself.
Now I know what to bring to this ugly Christmas sweater party this year.
You're thinking,
thanks.
This elf is going to shit in my mouth. I think there's going to be a little bit of goodness to it. I ate a fruitcake one time. It just tasted like a pine tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not appetizing.
Pine trees, good for smelling.
Yeah, good smell.
Bad for eating.
Okay.
Also bad for shoving up your ass. In case anyone's wondering.
Those needles are resilient.
We do a lot of butt experiments. Today, we are covering the not the black-eyed children. We are covering Men in Black.
Yeah.
So imagine this. You're enjoying a nice summer evening on the back deck. Just you and the dog, enjoying an ice-cold Zima, smoking a doobie. Left-handed cigarette.
Is the dog smoking a doobie too? Or
He's packing the bong for you, yes.
he's got his own joint just hanging out of his mouth?
Toby.
Toby, pack that bong for me, Toby.
You see an object hovering in the sky, then it suddenly darts into the darkness between the stars. You don't know what it is. You're a skeptic. You've never given thoughts to aliens, UFOs, and all that nonsense. You've actually shrugged the thought off and laughed at conspiracy theorists your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That night, you hop on MySpace, adjust your top 8, send out a few "thanks for friending me" sparkly gifs. Because that's a thing, right?
It is.
I still do that.
Yeah.
I just got off MySpace. Then you post on your MySpace, "Oh my God, I just saw an airplane acting really weird in the sky tonight. Going to bed. Big bang, big gang bang tomorrow." This is not anyone specifically. This is just like
we won't mention names, but
yeah. The next morning, you wake up to a low, buzzing helicopter. Your eyes dart towards the window, and you see an all-black, unmarked chopper flying into the distance. Then you hear knocking that won't stop. It's coming from your front door. You put on your SpongeBob robe and answer the door. Dick exposed. You're greeted by 3 men wearing black suits, black hats, no eyebrows, olive skin, no eyelashes, and oddly colored eyes. They say nothing. They just stare at you, eyebrowless, like you have a dick strapped to your forehead.
You can't tell what type of a mood they're in.
You feel your forehead. You do have a dick strapped to it.
Long night.
Yeah. Can I help you, you say? It's a pleasure to make company with you. We wish to help you understand what you watched in the night sky while stargazing last evening, while you were smoking a bong with your dog. The airplane, you say? It is the desire of us and those we work for that you never speak of what you saw. If you ever talk about your experience, it would jeopardize the life and safety of you and the ones you call friends and family. They stare through your eyes into your soul. They say nothing else and walk back to their brand new black 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You've had an experience with the Men in Black.
If you've experienced anything like that, let us know.
Let us know. Write us, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. We can be reached at Instagram at the Brohio Podcast, Twitter at Brohio Podcast,
1-800-BROHIO Podcast,
Facebook, the Brohio Podcast. That is what it's like for the average experience with the Men in Black. What are the Men in Black? Would you like to touch me? Touch that? Touch me, touch that.
Yeah, we'll go into a little bit here. When you think of the term Men in Black, here's what you can think of. Most people would associate that these guys are, go along with the UFO and alien lore, and rightfully so. They are often described as state-sponsored murderers.
Yeah, that's one
killers.
thing I read, that they oftentimes are sent along by the government to kill certain people.
Yeah, if you know too much.
As in, recently there was a UFO conspiracy theorist online. It was he was kind of putting out a lot of content on YouTube, and he was very forthcoming with the fact that he was very healthy and there was nothing wrong with him. So if something happened to him, to expect the absolute worst.
To expect some foul play, pretty much.
And absolutely, he was fucking doing some shit.
Moited.
Just crunk, just fucking dead. Deader than a doornail. That's how that stuff goes.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Now you're used to harass and intimidate people that are witnesses to certain activities that the government would not like you to know about. So that's where a lot of the UFO stuff goes on.
A lot of rectal fisting.
Yeah, they're doing whatever they can to silence you.
Silence the lambs.
They don't want you making Facebook posts or MySpace posts about it.
We're the sheep. Silence the sheep.
Wake up, sheeple.
That's so fucking stupid.
Alex Jones here. We're going to talk about the sheep and the Hillary Clinton voters and the soft Donald Trump's big dick. And we're going to...
He's the worst.
Yeah, I love him, though. Some accounts describe them as being accompanied by government or military or law enforcement. Now, the most complex things about the Men in Black are that they're described as humanoids or even like as aliens. They're kind of monstrous.
Yeah, monstrous, and they don't do shit normally.
Right.
They're exceptionally awkward.
They try to appear as human as possible.
Yeah.
But you can tell they're kind of doing a bad job.
Trying to be overly human, if that's a thing.
What else does that? What did we talk about that did that?
What do you mean? Something trying to be overly
Was it
human?
the demons? The sex demons?
Sex demons?
Yeah.
The sex penguins?
They-
The sex dolphins trying to...
They do whatever they can to appear human, but you can tell that they're slightly off.
You're like, oh, there's some green goo leaking from your eyeball.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's where I like to be fucked. In my eyeball. So let's connect the dots here. The first account of Men in Black, there's a lot of people, there's conflicting stories here about the first contact of Men in Black.
Yeah, that's something that I saw. You got Mr. Bender, which we'll get into, but there's that's the first thing that I saw about it. But a lot of the stories just lead right to him.
Yes, I agree, because I did find a lot more content referencing earlier encounters with Men in Black, but it's all right around the same time period, 1950s.
Yeah,
the fucking heyday for Roswell.
Yeah,
and if you're not familiar with Roswell, that was a puppy mill in New Mexico.
Saddest place on earth.
Yeah, it was the biggest UFO wreck and recovery in American history.
Pretty cool stuff.
In unrecorded American history.
Yeah.
According to Project Blue Book.
Or one of the biggest pieces of disinformation ever.
Yeah. Do you have anything about the first encounters there?
At Roswell?
No, the first encounter
of Men in Black?
Men in Black.
I don't think so. That besides, what was reported by...
I do remember offhand, it's fairly casual. It was a gentleman that had snapped some pictures, and then he had some people show up at his door.
Okay.
And they said, you need to get rid of the pictures. They telepathically, they first arrived at the door. They took control of his mind.
Yeah, that's how he knew they were there.
They weren't speaking. And he said, show yourself. They showed themselves. They said, get rid of your shit, or we're going to fucking kill you.
Right.
And that's kind of how all these stories go. Some of them are a little more serious than others. Some of them are a little more detailed, I should say. But they all kind of circle back to the same thing, and it's the Men in Black. But the most prominent in the beginning is one Mr. Albert Bender.
Yeah, big time.
Albert K. Bender. He was an avid UFO researcher, writer, teacher, analyst. He was very prominent in the UFO community. He was just sold out with this shit.
Yeah, founder of the International Flying Saucer Bureau.
Right, the IFSB.
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 And
Worst acronym ever.
And it is a real thing.
It is.
It was the biggest and first club of its kind.
I don't think it's around anymore, though.
We can fucking start it. Why not?
We can just bring it back up.
We can raise it like a boner. Just bring it up.
I know how to do that. That's what's up.
I'm out like a boner in sweatpants. The club was started in 1952, and the thing about the club, this is what makes this story a little bit weird. The club was wildly successful. He was getting he was getting lots of accounts, lots of firsthand accounts of people experiencing UFOs and alien contact. He was getting money. These people were sending him money to, be a part of this club. They had fucking officers. They had a publication. They didn't initially have a publication, but they got to the point where they were making a magazine and putting out all kinds of cool stuff. The efforts he was putting forth in UFO research was garnering attention from people all over the world. It was said that people from America were taking note of how much, I should say, headway he was making in his UFO investigations. And it was also to the point that people from all around the world were taking note of how much he was achieving with his research.
Just getting super successful at something that he started himself.
Yeah. And to think about the fucking legwork it would take in 1952 to achieve this thorough amount of research is unfathomable to me.
You can't just go around, hashtag
Ask Jeeves.
hashtag IFSB share.
Yeah,
like my page.
Lycos.
Yeah, this is before the internet, people. This is 1952.
Go get it, Lycos.
Yeah. So this is word of mouth just being spread through the paranormal and
UFO community.
UFO community, yeah.
But a lot of normal people, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in that time.
The best type of people.
The headquarters was in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And they said it was being absolutely inundated with reports of sightings. Also, government cover-ups.
Oh.
The thing was, they were receiving a lot of anonymous tips. So, a lot of people believe that as far as anonymous tips, where there's smoke, there's fire. So, your anonymous shit is your most concrete types of accounts. Because someone that really fucking knows something that is within the inside,
right?
They are not going to give their name.
Yeah, they don't want to be visited
by the Men in Black.
Yeah.
Here come the Men in Black.
But you got to think that if you were to see something that could be damning, I mean, I would assume you would be weighed down and you would want to say something. You would want to tell somebody, and being that you really can't.
Anonymous tips.
Yeah, that's really the only way. I mean, I would assume something like that would weigh heavily on a person, and they'd want to tell what they saw.
Oh yeah,
but you got to worry about the repercussions.
And back then, all they knew was, I mean, I would assume it was a little more of a Wild West type thing back then. Whereas, if they didn't like what you were doing or what they think you knew, they would just fucking whack you. And there was
find you at your sock hop and just take you out.
There was no one out there to connect the dots to tell your story. Just you were gone. You were gone, and that's kind of how it was.
Died mysteriously.
And not to throw any shade on Mr. Bender here, but he did live in his stepdad's attic, and it was almost explained as a shop of horrors. He had just walls and walls of newspaper clippings about UFOs. He did a lot of like abstract alien paintings and abstract UFO paintings.
Yeah.
But the officers, these guys are probably fucking the biggest dickheads in the world. But the officers of this club that they started, they spoke very candidly about how the excessive amount of files and records and pictures and newspaper articles he had just lining his walls in his dad's room. And it was just a wide open space. It was like 40 by 40, and he kind of turned it into like a studio type deal.
Yeah, I got a cool little excerpt from this book here about the attic there. It says, late at night, the attic became a creepy place. The floorboards creaked as you walked up on them, and on a dark, windy evening, stranger noises came from it. Visitors were often shaken up and uncomfortable. As I laughed heartily at their nervousness and amusement myself by relating ghost stories at times. My friends eventually decided they enjoyed the spoopy atmosphere.
Spooped.
And that was probably another reason for my fixing, and these are his words as well, another reason for my fixing up the Chamber of Horrors, which is what he called it.
Chamber of Horrors.
By
Be
painting,
careful, man. Crabs jump 4 feet in this motherfucker.
So he spruced it up by painting grotesque scenes and faces upon the walls of the room. And after about 8 months, I had done so good of a job that it almost frightened me when I stood back and looked at all of it one evening.
Oh my God, look at my fucking fantastic work.
I'm so good.
I would hate for someone to come in here and probe me.
No wonder why my friends found it so fascinating, for so many of the ghostly characters appeared to be looking straight at me, no matter where I might be in the room.
I don't even know what to say to that. This guy, and we're going to get further on to his accounts, and we're talking about Albert Bender here.
Yeah.
About the shit that he experienced. Moving on from there, though, he amassed such a collection of these articles and files that he started to index them, thus starting the club. Sorry, I got to scroll back up here. The International Flying Saucer Bureau. That's the International Flying Saucer Bureau. I'm going to try and remember that. The operation reached the point where Bender and his fellow club officers decided there needed to be a publication to the people subscribing to the club. So these people were sending money, sending in their witness accounts. They were getting... as we go further, we're going to learn that he was receiving certain information that he thought the government didn't want him to know, that he was cracking certain codes that were not supposed to be cracked by the public.
Yeah, puzzle pieces were just falling together.
You're also going to learn that he probably did a lot of fucking peyote. He definitely did a lot of butt chugging. If he's telling the truth here, then everything we know as far as UFOs and aliens can be thrown out the fucking window, because this rewrites the book.
Right.
Or if he's just a lunatic, then we're talking about absolutely nothing right now. So let's keep talking about absolutely nothing. They decided they needed to make the publication to provide the information to the people because there was such a mass amount of the information pouring in. And while in deep preparation for the first publication, Bender realized that he was under observation by someone or something. And if I were allowed to play the UFO or the X-Files theme song, this is where I would fucking play it right now. Agreed. When they got into the meat and potatoes of the operation, there was an influx of UFO sightings. Can I call them UFOs for the rest of the episode, please?
I say UFOs.
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 There was an influx of UFO sightings in the area right around Bender's house. This, of course, correlates with him being fucking watched and the U.S. government trying to shut him down. I'm sure this is what he's thinking in his head.
Paranoid as fuck.
In his crazy fucking head.
Peyote will make you see things.
Bender wondered if the saucer occupants sensed that the club were going to look into the mystery of the aliens' appearance here on Earth and might be looking them over to see what they were up to, or putting on a show for them. Fuck you.
Look what we can do.
Yeah. Oh, how do you like fucking big, strong, well-hung aliens? Here we are, right here in your hometown.
And this was, the thought was this was possibly to encourage the club. Prior to this, there were no sightings that had been reported in or around the Bridgeport area to the club's knowledge.
I can just imagine, like, possibly to encourage the club. So they're just like, hey, man, we like what you're doing. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Look what we can do, too.
Whenever my...
here's some more ammo.
Whenever my kids are meeting someone for the first time, I'll just stare at them and I'll say, dance, clown. So I assume this is what he was doing to the aliens.
Yeah, I guess so.
Looking up into the sky. And you're going to learn later on in the story, every time Albert Bender looks in the sky, he pretty much fucks himself and almost dies. But
Poor guy.
Moving on.
Sky's a spoopy place.
Bender had received his most concrete evidence of what he was trying to prove all along.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is where it gets good. On July 20th, 1952, several UFOs moved in and around the airport over the White House in Washington, D.C. These saucers were visually seen and confirmed on radar as hovering over the nation's capital for 5+ hours.
Okay. Where's...
Call me skeptic.
Where's the pictures?
Right.
Where's the info on this?
That is why
5 hours, you think somebody would have taken those fuckers down.
everything we know is a fucking lie.
5 hours.
It's hard to take me serious right now because I'm a crazy UFOologist and I'm wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, you guys can't see him. He's got his blackouts on.
I call these my Georgias because they look like Ray Charles sunglasses.
Ray Charles glasses.
Yeah. So yes, there were several UFOs hovering over the White House for 5+ hours.
5 long hours.
1952, we got the fucking atomic bombs to blow up Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but we don't have fucking bottle rockets to shoot down fucking UFOs hovering over the White House.
This is pre 9/11, so maybe they weren't that
Right.
concerned about it.
Maybe they're just trying to help us out. I don't know. I don't know.
And
I doubt it's the Russians. Who knows?
and this story was immediately passed on to the bureau, the UFO bureau that he was a part of, the fucking UFO club.
the IFSB.
Then on July 28th, only 8 days after the Washington, D.C. incident, a young Italian engineer took 5 clear photos of a 30-foot saucer resting on a glacier in the Bernina Alps.
Oh, look at the glacier.
Yeah, while one of the crew members walked around it. So I just my visual in my head, I think about a UFO just like balanced on top of a mountain and some pissed off alien walking around it like,
I told them 16 fucking times that if I have to drive this piece of shit one more time, I'm gonna leave it on top of a fucking mountain in the fucking Alps.
He's just sitting there shaking his fist at it.
I'm all out of rocket fuel, and they didn't believe me that this thing only gets 2 light years to the gallon, and there's nothing I can do now. I'm just a stranded alien. Hopefully, I can get a TV show, and I'll eat cats, and they'll.
it's an Alf, right?
Alf reference.
Alf. Okay, you caught it.
I did, yeah.
That's where Alf came from.
Yeah.
The very next day, after the fucking UFO teetering on the Alps,
I love that. The visual.
this is trippy.
Hey, if someone can design that for us, just a mountain with the UFO teetering on top of it,
Yeah,
let us know.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
The very next day, a man by the name of George Stock took several pictures of a dome-shaped disc circling above his home at Passaic, New Jersey. One day after these reported sightings is where fucking things started to fall apart in Albert Bender's life,
Poor guy.
the leader of the UFO club.
The IFSB.
To start with, Bender said he received a strange phone call at his home. When he answered, nobody talked, but he could sense that someone was on the other end listening, maybe even breathing. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's get off topic for a second.
Don't we always?
How do you feel about people that breathe really hard for no reason?
I mean, I would assume there's a reason, but maybe some undetermined health problem.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't think I've came across too many that just sit there and just
There's 3 things that upset me very badly, okay?
okay.
People that breathe really hard
Right.
when they're close to you, just like, are you going to eat that waffle? Like,
It's always one of those situations though,
Yes.
if it happens, yeah.
people that breathe really, I guess I should say people that breathe really hard through their nose.
Okay.
Blow it or don't breathe out of the fucking thing. How about that? Number 2, exceptionally stinky breath.
Oh, that's the worst.
Coffee and cigarette breath.
Yeah, coffee's really bad.
When you mix it all together, it just smells like cat shit.
Yeah, coffee and cigarettes really bad combined.
You got to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Number 3 is when you roll your window down in your car and you're going down the highway and it creates like that sonic pressure inside your car.
The
It feels like
helicopter.
your fucking head's going to collapse.
Yeah, the helicopter sound. You just hear woo, 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 woo,
We've
woo,
got
woo.
the fucking science to cure diseases and put people on the moon,
Yeah.
but your eyeballs will fall out of your fucking skull when you roll down. Your
It's
window
only like
on the-
halfway down when it's halfway down. If you roll it all the way down, it's not that bad, but yeah. I'm sure there's a science to
It's a
it.
UFO involved.
It's the speed of the wind getting sucked into the window crack.
Albert. God. Back to the story here. Bender said he received a strange phone call at his home. When he answered, nobody talked, but he could sense that someone. We got all that, right? Then all of a sudden, he felt like a message was transmitted to him via telepathy, and that's the one thing, reoccurring thing.
Yeah, with For Men in Black.
They speak to you
Without speaking.
through your fucking brain, man.
They're in your fucking head.
It's like your brain has a dick, and his brain has a dick, and then you put your brain dicks together and you make a dock.
Just one long brain
And
dick.
You transmit information via the dick.
Yeah, it's
the
like
ducking.
brain sperm going into one, and
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
You like it? Heavy shit, man. Okay. Then all of a sudden, he said he felt like a message was transmitted to him via telepathy. The message, quotations, "Don't delve into the saucer mystery any further."
That's the first thing I would have done, is gone into it even further.
Fucking cryptic.
Don't tell me what to do.
Don't touch me. Touch. Touch. Don't look over there.
Over where?
As the silence remained, he suddenly heard a strange throbbing, humming sound. Then the noises suddenly stopped. And he realized that he left his vibrating butt plug shoved 4 inches up his ass.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, I found it. Those weren't aliens. That's what happens when you hook this thing up to a car battery. Jesus Christ. He tried to... This is cool, too. He tried to trace the call through the operator, and they could not trace the call. I think it's so cool that back in the day that you would call somewhere, and just some lady would pick up and say... Do
you think it was still around the time when they had the big punch boards? They were unplugging quarter-inch jacks and plugging it in?
I have to imagine. It's so weird to me.
Well, let me see which hole I plugged it into.
Yeah, or you could just... Like, I remember as a kid... This makes me feel old. I could just hit... I could hit 0.
Yeah.
Like, give me a Papa John's on Main Street. Oh, are you old enough to order pizza? I'm old enough to fuck your mom. How about that? Patch me through, dipshit.
You call in to get the movie times, and
I was a problem child.
Call time and weather or whatever the fuck it was.
As for Mr. Bender, this incident continued to haunt him, but nonetheless, the first issue of Space Review was released. The publication for the UFO club that they were doing in their fucking treehouse. Exactly. I have to imagine their clubhouse was a fucking treehouse.
Why not?
And it was the 50s, so there was fucking bottles. They were popping bottles of rich, chocolatey Ovaltine.
Fuck yes, they were.
And Yoo-Hoos. Someone asked me about a Yoo-Hoo today. Said, "You ever have a Yoo-Hoo?" I'm like,
bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the one problem that I have with Yoo-Hoo. And it's only one problem, but it's the double-edged sword of Yoo-Hoo. There's never enough of it.
Right.
I will get the 12 pouches, and I will fucking drink all of them in one sitting.
That it tastes like shit water.
But it's so fucking good.
Like fucking dirty Kentucky swamp water.
Oh, it's so good.
What's up, Hillbilly Horror Stories?
Oh, damn it, you did it. I was going to say that too. Hi.
Exactly 1 week after the release of the publication of that first issue of Space Review, Bender was walking home in the dark from a movie. And this is how people...
It's a perfect fucking storm.
This is how people get fucking deflowered, okay? He's walking home from the movies in the dark.
This is what it takes.
While walking, it felt like something was put over his head.
Okay.
And when I say put over his head, like a fucking soundproof bubble spaceman helmet was shoved over his head, and suddenly the whole entire world around him stopped. All noises stopped. It made the world stand still, and it made everything completely silent. He was again overwhelmed with the feeling, and we got to go back earlier when he was on the telephone. It was telepathically transmitted to him to stop investigating the UFOs, stop investigating the saucers, or you're going to fucking die. He was again overwhelmed with the feeling to stop his activity in the UFO, that him and the UFO club were doing together. He looked up in the sky briefly and saw a blue flash. When he saw the blue flash, he was lifted off of his feet. Then the blue light stopped, and he was put back down on his feet. Shortly thereafter, he walked home. When he arrived home, he went up to his bedroom. He saw the blue light coming from under the door to his bedroom. This is fucking creepy right here. He opened the door and saw a large, undefinable outline glowing in the middle of the room. It was described as like a large being, like a large man or a large creature. The instant he turned the light on, the creature disappeared. There was a strong smell of burnt sulfur in the room.
Fucking succubus.
Those of you that have never smelled burnt sulfur, shit in your hand.
And then light it on fire.
Light it on hand.
while it's in your hand.
Throw it on the ground really hard.
Yeah.
Stomp on it, and then smell your shoes. That's fucking sulfur. I can't wait to get a video from someone doing it.
You owe me $400 for these Jordans I just bought.
Is that how much Jordans cost?
Yeah, give or take.
I've got $27 New Balances from fucking JCPenney's. Extra wide. The smell of burnt sulfur was so bad in his room that he had to open the windows because it was burning his eyes. And oftentimes, when I rip a big old hairy fucking fart, I will burn my own eyes. But I don't think he was on the same diet as me. So I think this is definitely the alien, not a fart.
He's not on the Taco Bell White Castle diet.
This one can't be debunked.
You're like, oh, what do you want on that ice cream? How about jalapenos and fried onions on your ice cream?
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it on there, please. I got a lot of shit going on in my life right now that you
Don't be stingy.
don't fucking take away from me what I've worked so hard for.
He found almost all of his records and documents pertaining to his UFO research had been disturbed. All of his shit, his papers were all disheveled. This fucking asshole alien was in there going through his shit, taking all of his notes. Just like some podcasts do from us. They take all of our stuff, then they make stuff about our stuff. So that was kind of the end of that experience. There was another experience. This guy had so much shit going on. He went to the movies. He went to the movies by himself again, and the fucking blue orb appeared. And he looked to his right, and there was a man sitting next to him in a previously empty movie theater. He looks over, and there's a man sitting next to him with a blue outline around him, and this guy's just got a sinister grin with flaming teeth, just staring back at him.
That's sweet.
And he screamed. He ran he left the movie theater. He started to run home, and this sinister being appeared behind him again, grabbed him on the back of the neck, and started trying to penetrate his brain again, just like he thought. Well, this was his understanding, that it was trying to get through to his brain again, but he thought he developed the ability to block the things from getting through to his head. So he ran to the police station. The police retraced all of his steps. They found no evidence of any foul play. So then he didn't want to be completely forthcoming about his experiences to the UFO group because he was so worried that he was going to die for what he was doing. So there was a group initiative that they put out to all of their readers and the UFO. They had thousands of people that read this thing. There was a collective time and date that they were all going to try to telepathically communicate with the aliens. So I don't have the exact date. It was like a Tuesday at 6:00. They were all going to lock themselves in their bedrooms.
Right at dinner time. What a bunch of assholes.
Yeah. No, back then they ate dinner at like 4.
That's true.
Yeah. They were going to lock themselves in their bedrooms, and all of them, the power of their brains, were going to lay down and try and telepathically communicate to the alien race that they thought was trying to invade the Earth. And they were going to create this powerful message because they were all doing it at the exact same time.
Are we talking about Heaven's Gate?
Right.
Oops.
The message they were trying to transmit, quotations, "We have been watching you." I'm sorry. This is what he got back from the aliens whenever he was telepathically reaching out with everybody else. This is the message that Albert got from the aliens. The aliens said, "We have been watching you and your activities. Please advise to discontinue delving into the mysteries of the universe. We will make an appearance if you disobey."
Dun, dun, dun.
And then old Albert said he replied in words, without using his lips, "Why aren't you friendly to us? We do not mean to do any harm to you." The aliens then said, "We have a special assignment and must not be disturbed by your people."
Our people? What do you mean by our people?
Yeah, what do you mean by our people? The alien also went on to say, "We are among you and know your every move. So please be advised, we are here on your Earth."
Ooh. I like that.
So Albert then went on to pencil all this into a story, create an official incident report that he sent to Washington, D.C. He had the complete file prepared in a manila envelope sitting on his desk, and he went to go get it. He got the postage, and he went to his room to get it, and it fucking vanished. It was just gone. This huge file that he created and left on his desk, it was just gone.
Poor guy. All that work.
Yeah. And there was another incident where he came home after being on vacation, and he went to go in his bedroom, and when he got into his bedroom, it was so hot that he couldn't breathe in the bedroom, and he saw the blue flash again. It knocked him out, and every single time he had one of these things happen to him in his bedroom, the radio would always be on. And there would be no sound coming from the radio. It would always be turned to a different radio station where there was no sound, even though that wasn't the station he was priorly listening to. And when one night an alien came to him and infiltrated his head again and said that the way he was getting into the bedroom was through the radio. The aliens were coming through the radio. And that's how they were making their physical presence as far as...
Good thing I don't have a radio in my house.
I know. On the AM radio. This was not an FM radio.
Right.
They weren't listening to fucking Uncle Cracker and the Offspring. They were Frank Sinatra and shit.
It's just talk radio.
But the alien said, "We are coming to you through the radio." Seems completely doable.
Yeah.
Aliens can do whatever the fuck they want. But then one night he had... This is where his first experience with the Men in Black come. He was sleeping and he had 3 men appear over him that appeared to look like clergymen. They had hats.
Right.
They had the suits. He said his first account said they looked like bankers, which kind of goes along with the Men in Black thing.
Yeah.
He went on to say that they washed him clean. And this goes along with the thought that most times aliens, the only reason they want us is for experimentation.
Yep.
And most accounts of people that go into spaceships, they say that they're completely scrubbed down and sterilized. And that's what these guys did, is they completely scrubbed down Albert. And they went on to say, this is what they said to Albert: "You have dedicated yourself to the solution of the strange problem of unidentified objects in the atmosphere. Your interest is deep and sincere, and you have devoted many hours to it. We also know that such interest and determination might lead to something that could harm you. We feel that you are a very good contact for us on your planet of Earth. You are an average person. We know that what we tell you and show you, you will not be believed by anyone you might tell." And they also went on to tell him that when they are in the human form, they have coat racks in their spaceship of fucking flesh hanging of bodies, which reminds me of the alien in Men in Black.
Yeah.
When he steals his skin, and that's kind of what they said.
Same
to him,
premise. Yeah.
that they, put these cloaks on. They take a fucking Nick and Rob suit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Mine's a fat suit. And they put them on, and they come to the real world. And they're like,
We need water. Sugar in the water. More sugar.
do you remember that at the beginning of Men in Black when he just wants sugar water?
Just want sugar water.
More sugar.
Like a bee.
And that is Albert Bender's story. One of the original Men in Black experiencers.
Good old Mibs.
Experiencees.
Yeah, I have I kind of touched a little bit about the attic. I think this kind of goes into where he
You said you were touched in the attic?
Yeah, it was. It was great.
Oh my God. Please stop.
I think this is
You're so pretty.
this might be the same story as when they came to his house. The same one. I don't know if there was multiple. This is kind of the one that I have. Of course, he was, in his creepy attic, and he said that these 3 men came, and they spoke with him telepathically. And while he was speaking to them, he received a metal disc from them and instructions. Now, the instructions said, "We have come." Oh, okay. Windows noise there. You guys probably didn't hear it, but yeah, it was there. It says, "We have come to take you to a most important meeting, and such is the distance that all of us must accompany you. You are to see our base of operations here on your planet. Please take your small metal disc with you." Is that a dick joke?
Please take your small metal dick with you.
Now, Bender obeyed and said that these people from another world actually touched me. They placed their hands on my shoulders, and as they did so, I felt as if I had been touched by a piece of dry ice. My whole body suddenly went numb as if I had received a giant dose of Novocaine.
Entered me from behind.
I didn't consent. Now, Bender passed out, and when he came to, he described what he thought appeared to be, that he was in a big cavern. Now, inside of that cavern was an enormous cigar-shaped spaceship.
That's what his asshole looked like when the aliens were done with him, was a fucking cavern.
Big old cavern, all hollowed out. And,
old blown out catcher's mitt.
ooh.
I need some Arby's sauce for this big Montana.
Now, the
Sauce.
the men in black led him inside, where they met another man who appeared to be a lab technician there. Bender described the inside of the ship as, consisting of shiny metal, light beam controls, sliding panels, glowing control boards, and
Get over here. It's your basic light beam controls right here on the after you get the specs for the inline for the rotary girder over there.
the flux capacitor.
A flux capacitor. And we got the harmonic balancer right over here next to the circuit breakers.
Now, this guy here, he wasn't dressed like the other two, in your normal suit, but he still had the monsterish appearance.
He was wearing shit-stained lingerie.
My name's Sandy. What can I get you to drink?
Now, in this guy's opening statement with Bender, he talked of his reptilian ancestry.
Oh, here we fucking go. Middle Earth, flat Earth reptilians.
Yep. And he said to him, "You are on a spot of your planet known as Antarctica. We have chosen this area because it is uninhibited, and there is nobody here to disturb us in our task. We have made this base by tunneling into your ice-covered surface and burying ourselves, with only a small opening through which our smaller craft may enter and depart. The intense cold here does not disturb us, for we are not affected by your range of temperatures. Our bodies acclimate themselves readily to such ranges."
Oh, my.
So that's pretty cool. Now,
Antarctica? There's no people there.
yeah, and what's done there by the government, or nobody knows.
Right. Sign me up.
Yeah, it's
No people? Sign me up.
yeah. Now, the guy / monster said that living conditions on their home planet was really bad, and that they had to take in underground cities.
They lived in an intergalactic ghetto.
Yeah.
There's space shit everywhere. You walk down the street and you can't go 3 blocks without another alien trying to suck your dick for bitcoins.
I'm sure that's what they use there.
Bitcoins.
That's what they use there.
He also said that their space station elevated on their home planet there. It elevated out of craters that were in the ground, and that could very well reference our moon. Our moon.
We've landed there, right?
We have. We may have not seen the space station, though. Who knows? But now, after this, they escorted him to a meeting with Big Brother from the Nether Realms that they called Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles.
I remember one time in high school, I slept with a less than pure lady, and I contracted the Mephistopheles. My mom's like, oh, I know exactly what to do with this. And she took a wire brush and icy hot, and she got it off.
Ooh, that's good for you.
Yeah,
I heard that can get kind of out of control.
Yeah, it's just let someone you trust do it. That's why I let my mom do it.
Now he says that
Mom.
he says that Mephistopheles tried to fit what he thought would be the anthropomorphic conception of God.
That motherfucker lose the name lottery or what?
So he tried to appear to Bender as how he would have thought God would have looked. So he appeared male in appearance, masculine, but although the others there claimed that he was a true bisexual.
That sounds delicious.
All right, yeah.
Some of that on my salad. I toss salad.
It says, from a sliding panel on the opposite wall stepped a figure, glimmering in a blue haze. He was dressed in a uniform of golden color. His, or its, white hair contrasted with the skin of light brown color.
It was Jesus.
As he drew closer, my attention focused on his face and handsome features. It was almost earth-like, contrasted to the ugliness I have observed in the others. He was of muscular build and about 9 feet tall.
Sounds fuckable, honestly.
I gathered this was the exalted one about which I had been informed.
He was the supreme leader.
Yeah, and that this bisexual entity was in charge of the base and probably the entire planetary operation.
They're playing right into the Brohio hand right now, right there.
I know. Now, Mephistopheles told him that they had been here since 1945 and required 15 years to acquire what they needed from substances out of our seawater. He went on to explain the machinery that they were using to capture the seawater, and I wish I'd written down what it was, but it was a whole weird...
God damn.
It was just a really weird contraption.
And this goes to show you, if you are thinking about... This is all stemming from this stupid fucking club this shit stain started.
Yeah, don't start no fucking clubs.
Don't start a UFO club. Don't go digging into shit you're not supposed to know about.
Yeah, and on the darker side of this visit here, Mephistopheles also admitted to kidnapping and harming other humans. He said, "We have found it necessary to frighten many, but we have also had to resort to graver action in some cases which involve deaths among your fellow Earthmen. We have carried off many of your own people to our own planet for means of experimentation and also to place some of them on exhibit for our own people to see. We have specimens of people from many planets, but some of them do not live. These we preserve.
Oh, good.
Such have been the case of your Earth people. They have not survived."
Dead as a fucking doornail.
Ominous as fuck.
Yeah, that's kind of cryptic.
Yeah, very cryptic.
And to move ahead here, we have a interview done by Dan Aykroyd,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Ghostbuster himself.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and put this on here before we lose you here at the hour mark,
Yeah.
because some people don't like aliens. But this is Dan Aykroyd. He had an incident where he was filming a television show for a major network, and he was uncovering many UFO mysteries.
And he's a very, very established and respected.
He's a UFO activist. I mean, he's the guy. He's right there with, Tom DeLonge and
Fucking love Tom DeLonge.
yeah,
So good.
Jesse Ventura. Bunch of crazy motherfuckers. But Dan Aykroyd was doing a series, and it was immediately canceled while he was on set, after maybe an hour or two after he had a sighting of the Men in Black. So here is that interview by Dan Aykroyd.
Yes, we know they're here. We know they're coming. We know people have been taken. We know there's experimentation going on. We know people have been told about agendas. What we now have to do is use that as a key and as a motivation to socially transform this planet to a more peaceful, more loving, more tolerant state. So his movement, the movement for social change, has just accepts as a fact abductions, UFOs, interplanetary intervention, and what he's doing is taking it out through the positive side of it and saying, now we must use it to socially transform. And I think his message is great. But I talked to him. I talked to the Allagash guys who were taken in the canoe on that trip in Pennsylvania.
Abducted in a canoe.
I mean, and the last show we did, I had both Bassett, who has the UFO time clock, and then Greer. Both Bassett and Greer were there. They were my two guests for the day. Well, the show was canceled that afternoon. And I was outside, before I knew it was canceled, in between the interviews. And I was outside, and Britney Spears called me because she wanted to maybe appear on Saturday Night Live with her. And so I was outside having a cigarette, the phone rang. Oh, Brittany, how you doing? Oh, sure, of course I will. I turned away like this. I turned back, and there was a black Ford across the road, a black Ford sedan. And I was trying to look at the plate, and the plate seemed kind of like fuzzy, and I was, definitely a police car. And two guys were there, and a big, tall guy got out of the back seat. And he stood in the street on 42nd Street it was. We were at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. And he looked right at me. And literally, I was on the phone. Hey, oh, sure, of course I'd love for the show. Saw the Ford, went back like this, turned back like a half second later, and it was gone. And that car did not go past me. It did not make a U-turn, because I would have seen 42nd Street. I would have seen that thing take a U-turn and go away. That car vanished. That car was a cloaked vehicle of some type. And whether this was like a warning to me, because the guy got out of the back seat, gave me a real dirty look. That car vanished. I know what I saw.
Fuck you, guy.
It was just this fast. It was, oh, hi, Brittany, sure. Oh, of course, I'd love to. Guy gives me a dirty look. Oh, well, sure. Car gone. That's what happened.
They just wanted to see Brittany.
And then 2 hours later,
Brittany, bitch.
We were told we were not to continue taping, and the show was canceled, and none of them would air.
It's a bummer.
I don't know. I don't know.
Where's the footage?
Was that an MIB experience? Black helicopters, military abductions that happen. Sometimes people are taken, and they talk about then being visited by, military personnel and debriefed about their abduction. Was it a technology associated with some of these beings that are visiting that wanted to warn me off, or that wanted to give me verification that I was on the right track? I don't know. But I do know I did turn back a second later, and it takes so long for an automobile accelerating from 0 to 40 miles an hour to reach the corner of 8th Avenue and 42nd Street.
That's crazy.
And the most troublesome thing about all that is how fucking sure of himself he is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's telling the story like it really happened.
And Dan Aykroyd is not known as a fucking Looney Tune.
Right,
He's kind of held in high regard in Hollywood, honestly.
This isn't fake news.
This is not fake news.
Yeah, and this is either he really saw it or he really believes he saw it.
In my mind, I have no doubt that he experienced something.
Right.
He gets on the phone and he's like, hello. And she's like, how would you like to be on Saturday Night Live with me? And he's like, sure, I'll do it. Oh, Men in Black.
Yeah.
Are you still there? Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, I'm here. I gotta go, or I'm being watched by the Men in Black.
And then they just vanish.
They're gone. That's some heavy shit.
Really is. And then, of course, right afterwards, you're ceasing production on it.
Yeah. He was doing a show. They were uncovering many mysteries, government mysteries pertaining to Project Paperclip, Project Blue Book, lots of government conspiracy-themed UFO things.
If something happens to us,
yeah,
look into it.
In an hour after this sighting, they just walk up to him and say, it's done. Everything you filmed up to this point is not getting released. The show's not getting released. This is done.
Shut it down. That would be the worst.
It would be the worst.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd's like, well, I just go home and count on my money from Ghostbusters. Yeah, on our next story, in 1976, Dr. Herbert the pervert. Sweet Jesus. Dr. Herbert Hopkins was investigating a UFO abduction case when a stranger called him and asked him if he could stop by and talk to him about the investigation. He immediately went to the front door to turn on the front porch light for whomever was stopping by. The same time he flipped the light on, there was a man walking up his stairs. So this is all like happening like simultaneously. The gentleman introduced himself as the fucker that just called. He was wearing a black suit, black tie, black hat, and gray gloves. This gets really good. He had very pale skin, but he did appear to be wearing bright red lipstick.
You just got to have a hot makeout session
He's just
with some tramp.
He just comes in and says,
I think I want you to fuck my mouth. And I made my mouth look real pretty for you.
"Oh." Later during their time together, Hopkins observed some of the lipstick rubbed off on the guy's gloves. This is really fucking weird.
That's weird.
The guy asked if the doctor had any coins in his pocket. No, he said to Hopkins that you do have coins in your pocket, which was correct, and he asked him to remove one. Hopkins complied and held the coin, a shiny new penny, in the palm of his hand. The man in black told Hopkins to watch the coin closely.
Fucking David Blaine.
Yeah.
God damn it.
After a few moments, the coin took on a silvery appearance and then appeared to be going out of focus. It then began to fade and eventually disappeared altogether. The man in black informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen on this planet again.
It's a penny. Who gives a shit?
But still, kind of that's the thing. This could be you. You could be this penny.
Yeah.
is what I'm getting at.
I just thought he was a magician.
Real fucking magic.
And then he inquired as to whether Hopkins was familiar with the alleged UFO abductee Barney Hill. He was Barney Hill and his wife were abducted by aliens, and there was that's the most prevalent UFO experience in all of the world as far as first personal abductions.
Okay.
And the man in black asked him if he knew about this abduction. Hopkins replied that he had heard of Hill, but was under the impression that he had died in the not too distant past. The man in black informed Hopkins that was correct. Quotations, Barney didn't have a heart. Jesus.
Wow.
And the man in black also said, just like you no longer have a coin.
Damn. That's savage as fuck.
I know. It should be noted that Barney Hill actually died of a cerebral hemorrhage. The man in black then gently suggested that Hopkins destroy any material he had related to UFO cases. Hopkins, extremely shaken by the encounter, followed the advice of the man and burned all the files he had related to the case. While he had repeated phone troubles after, the phone company said his line had been tampered with. Maybe a tap?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
He never saw the man again. It's pretty heavy.
Very interesting.
That's some pretty heavy shit. There was a certain point that the man in black, there were so many stories about men in black that the government had to go out and issue a statement and say, listen, we don't know who the fuck these guys are. So be mindful when they're around to not comply with them because they are not government officials.
Right.
There was a colonel in the Air Force named George Freeman. He was the spokesperson for Project Blue Book.
Oh God, here we go.
And it doesn't get any more full of shit than that fucking mess.
Yeah.
And this is a quote from the U.S. Air Force and Colonel George Freeman. Mysterious men dressed in Air Force uniforms or all in black and bearing impressive credentials from government agencies have been silencing UFO witnesses. We have checked a number of these cases, and these men are not connected to the Air Force in any way. We haven't been able to find out anything about these men. By posing as Air Force officers and government agents, they are committing a federal offense. We would sure like to catch one. Unfortunately, the trail is always too cold by the time we hear about these cases, but we are still trying. If that doesn't scream, fuck you, we know what we're doing, and you're gonna know nothing about it, I don't know what does. Right. And then to move on to the Joint Chief of Staff, they advised they were in the dark as well. Assistant Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force. Sorry, I have to take a big breath there. Lieutenant General Hewitt T. Wheelis sent a memo on March 1st, 1967 to various agencies in the Department of Defense. And here's what it said. Information not verifiable has reached headquarters of the United States Air Force that persons claiming to represent the Air Force or other defense establishments have contacted citizens who have cited unidentified flying objects. In one reported case, an individual in civilian clothes who represented himself as a member of NORAD demanded and received photos belonging to a private citizen. In another, a person in an Air Force uniform approached local police and other citizens who had sighted a UFO, assembled them in a schoolroom, and told them that they did not see what they thought they saw,
Oh, shit.
and that they should not talk to anyone about the sighting. All military and civilian personnel, and particularly information officers and UFO investigating officers who hear of such reports, should immediately notify their local OSI offices. So, this is not shit we are making up. These are official fucking governments from the document released to the public.
What you thought you see, you did not.
Gather round, friends. We are going to talk about what you didn't see this evening. Some of the people that speak of the Men in Black say they do things that are just, as we should say, kind of weird.
Weird.
So when they show up and you do ask them for credentials, oftentimes they'll produce a white card that just says security on it. Who? I'm sorry, who are you? I work for security. Like, flash it.
Excuse me, sir. Who are you? You just pull out a card that says boob toucher.
Security.
Like, oh, he's a card. It's got to be true.
And this is my most favorite story out of all of them. One woman in Minnesota, shout out to our research assistant Courtney.
Woo!
All the fucking weirdos in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Described having a man in black come to her door to ask questions about UFOs. He had long hair though, which doesn't fit the mold of the other ones.
He was rebellious.
He was a fucking rogue officer. He was a rogue man in black. He didn't introduce himself as someone from the government, and the name eventually checked out. Is the weird part that he had his name was like James French, and after the incident, she talked to the authorities, and there was a James French in that branch of the government he portrayed himself as being from,
but it wasn't him.
It wasn't the guy. It wasn't the same guy.
Cool.
So this was a case of stolen identity. Imagine that. She told him he seemed very uncomfortable, which is kind of funny. Like, I would be fucking uncomfortable inviting some fucking weird
Right.
guy into my house, but she's like,
Yeah.
very old woman about it. Like,
Baby, you seem really uncomfortable. What's going on?
he said his stomach hurt, so she offered him Jell-O because apparently that's what you fucking do.
Come here, dude. Let me get you some Jell-O.
You want some Jell-O? How about I take my teeth out and give you a big old hydraulic blowjob?
I hope you like lime.
I'll suck on it real good. How about the Jell-O? You want the Jell-O or no?
He declined
I love this. That's right here.
and said it was still bothering him. He would come back tomorrow. So they fucking ended the conversation and he left. To her fucking dismay, he came back the next day. He wanted the fucking Jell-O for his stomach that was still upset.
This is so good.
This is real life hard hitting shit right here, okay? He came back for the Jell-O. He initially tried to drink the fucking Jell-O, but she had to teach him how to eat the Jell-O. There was also another instance of a lady having a similar situation.
You got to go home and figure out what the fuck Jell-O was.
God, I gotta impress her. I gotta figure out
It starts as a liquid, but then it's a solid. What do I do?
YouTube how to eat Jell-O. Don't.
Well, first, gotta put some fruit in it. I do know that.
Oh yeah.
There was another instance of a similar situation where a man in black showed up. The woman let him come inside, and then the alien said, "May I see a glass of water?" So she brought him a glass of water, and
He
this
just looked at it.
motherfucker sat down with it, and just stared at it for like 20 minutes, and she's like, "Are you going to the mall later?" That's what I'm asking. That's a Billy Madison. That's a Billy Madison one. Yeah, he said, "Can I see a glass of water?" She brought him the water. He just fucking stares at it. So these guys are weird. They don't know how to act like humans.
They can't human very well.
They can't human very well at all.
Like a level 2 in human.
Right. And then another heavy one I have right here. Another heavy story for you. In 1967, Robert Richardson of Toledo, Ohio. We
What up?
don't claim Toledo. That's fucking.
It's not too terribly far from us.
Right. He struck an unknown object that vanished immediately. It did leave behind a piece of metal. He sent the metal to the Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization.
That sounds reputable.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder how many stars they have on the Better Business
You have the
Bureau
BBB?
website. Yeah. 2 agents in a brand new, mind you, this happened in 1967. 2 agents in a brand new 1953 Cadillac showed up. They had unregistered plates.
Of course they did.
They didn't do too much harassing that time. But they came back a week later and they demanded the metal piece. Mr. Richardson told him that he'd already sent it off to the research facility.
Hey, gone.
The alien said that if you don't get it back, we're going to kill your wife. Whew. Actually, I didn't write it down, but what they really said, if you don't find it, your wife is not going to be pretty anymore, is what they fucking said to him.
Oh, wow.
Not that they were going to kill her.
That's worse than even saying you're going to kill her.
Oh, she can't get any fucking uglier. I gotta find that fucking thing.
Good luck.
Fucking piece of shit.
God damn, man. These men in black.
If you think she won't nag you to death, too, you got something coming, boy.
I'll tell you what would make me feel a lot better. The big old bowl of Jell-O. Big old jiggly bowl of Jell-O.
Nothing sounds more appetizing.
Jesus Christ.
Jailer.
Yeah, so that's the Men in Black.
The Mibs.
I don't have anything else here.
No, I don't either.
I think we got some more stories here, but they're getting kind of redundant at this point.
Yeah, you kind of get the picture with these people.
The Men in Black
These things, I should say.
are fucking assholes.
Yeah. So if you know a lot about UFOs, don't go spouting on about it.
Right. But
Unless you want to get visited.
I think here at the end of the episode, we have a call that was passed along to us by a research assistant, Julie. We did use this call.
Yeah, we've used it before.
In our 911 and Creepy Sounds episode. So we're just going to end the episode, and then we're going to leave the call here at the end for you. So if you guys didn't hear it in that episode, you can check it out again. It's a
Very, very famous.
alleged employee of the government that works in alien research and development, all that shit. And he's running from the Men in Black.
He's terrified.
And he calls into Coast to Coast AM and tells
Art
the
Bell.
story of how he's running from the government. But guys, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Love ya.
The next episode,
Oh, good fucking God. We got the big bitch coming through.
Eileen Wernos.
Oh, man.
Last podcast on the left just did her not too recently.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
I don't remember. I don't really get a chance to listen to them anymore.
Yeah, I don't listen to him anymore.
They're my favorite, but no time for podcasts. Only time for making podcasts.
She's the big bad bitch, though.
Yeah, but if there's something you want us to cover, reach out to us and let us know. Or if you just want to talk to us, we
We're
do
always
that
here.
too.
We're always here.
We'll come snort coke with you. We'll walk your dog. What the fuck ever.
Fuck yeah, whatever
I
you
don't
want to
care.
do. Let us
I've
know.
never snorted coke, but I'm sure it's probably pretty cool. I'm fat.
Heroin's
so-
the big thing around here.
Yeah. I'm kind of fat, so you might want to keep a defibrillator kind of close in case my shit gives out.
You be breathing like the guys that you hate.
Yeah. If
Like, Nick, you have asthma?
Yeah, no, just my asshole fell out. I'll be all right.
I just ate a lot of White Castle.
I'll be fine.
Meatballs. I want extra meatballs on that meatball sub. You know what? I'm leaving. I'm getting Jell-O.
Lime Jello.
If you fucking, that's the one way. It seemed like the alien immediately had a soft spot. She's like,
Right. He just slept on it. He was like, you know what? That fucking Jello sounds so good.
Listen here, baby. If your tummy's not feeling well, you should probably have some Jell-O. I'm thinking about it right now, and if I don't feel better by tomorrow, I'm gonna circle back. I'm back for that Jell-O. Come on in.
You still have the Jello.
I sure do. Jell-O lasts forever.
So, all right. Well, we'll put that call in there for you guys.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Love ya.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...
In some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or
I don't know.
it has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear? Now, you tell me because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah, real weirded out.
Like going sort of sounding paranoid,
Yeah.
schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you
Something like that.
you guys you really missed the call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah. Because it was really strange. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Mark Furman, and when
That's right. Well, the network, of course, went immediately to a backup tape while we tried to figure out what blew up here. So that's what you heard happen. And then we're now on a backup link system to be on the air at all right now. So, well, I'm telling you.
Am I on the air right now?
You're on the air right now. Well, you better be, yes.
And
where are you, by the way?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, I called the other night, and I wanted to...